Welcome to the Italian Football Podcast.
So you have it from a managerial perspective where clearly things have not been up to speed. It definitely translates onto the pitch. I mean, if you look at Vlahovic, Locatelli, those are the guys we want to elaborate a little bit on here. You talk about his dinosaur football, and I get that. The way he plays at times, it does certainly should come with, like those warnings that say do not operate heavy machinery while partaking in like this medication. That is what Allegri football should sometimes come with, a warning. Just be careful.
Do not proceed past this point. There are wild animals.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you just look, okay, so Locatelli, for instance, okay, so Manuel Locatelli he has a fantastic Euro 2020 campaign, comes to Juve, seen as a very high-profile signing, which he was. Arsenal wanted him as well. Well, he comes under the wings of Allegri. I don't even know who this guy is anymore. He is unrecognizable to the guy that we saw at the Euros just 1 year ago. I mean, what do you make of that? Because results aside, look at the investments they've made. Again, Locatelli, Vlahovic, Bremer. I mean, you could...
Di Maria.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying, like the more expensive long-term players. I mean, you can make the case every single one of them has regressed.
Yeah, you can. I don't think anyone can say that, and I think the player that probably has regressed the least is Bremer. But Vlahovic is unhappy.
Well, he's been there the shortest, so in fairness, that's probably merely a case of...
Probably. You're absolutely right. And I think Vlahovic, for sure, Vlahovic looks pissed off with life in general right now. He doesn't get anything to work with. But yeah, as for Locatelli, I don't know. It feels like this is what happened at Milan with him. He's not a regista. He's a mezzala, and he should be played there. But he's not played in this right position. Allegri seems to have hell-bent that he's supposed to play deeper. He's not supposed to play there. And I don't understand why he doesn't play him next to Rabiot and Paredes together, the three-man midfield. That's what you've got when Pogba's missing. That's how you need to play, but he just doesn't want to do that. Or next to McKennie if you want someone, if the game dictates it. But regardless, this what he's doing with Locatelli is he looks confused. His self-confidence is completely shot. He doesn't look everything that made him look fantastic at the Euros and even at Sassuolo is just gone. It's vanished.
Yeah. I don't think he's a top player. I don't think he's ever going to become a world-class player, put it that way. But I do think that he has the ability and the potential to be a very good, to even to an excellent player. I think he is worthy of Juventus. I do believe that. I believe he has the qualities to be worthy of Juventus. But he has to play under a manager and in a team that plays to his strengths. And his strengths are he's very good on the ball. He's got a very good passing range, brilliant passing range actually.
Yeah.
He's got a very good short passing game. You play him alongside midfielders that can keep the ball, keep possession, dominate the middle of the field, dominate possession and territory. Like we saw at the Euros under Verratti, with Jorginho, with Barella. Okay, these are top players. Okay, most midfielders will look good. Will play better alongside those. Of course they will. But he is very comfortable with playing in that kind of playing that kind of football. But you play him under a coach who has no style of play, just basically defends and counterattacks. Well, as with all the midfielders and all midfielders go to Turin and die in recent years, but especially under Allegri, he's set up to fail basically. He's slow. That's one of his weaknesses. Locatelli is he's pretty slow. What is a slow midfielder like Locatelli going to do in a counter-attacking team? He's not going to do anything. I mean, it's just common sense, logic. You don't need to be Enrico Sacchi or Pep Guardiola when it comes to tactics to realise that. He's been mismanaged really horribly. As Nima said, playing loads as the deepest player, the deepest lying player, whatever formation that's in. he's being set up for fail because he is a mezzala. He needs to play in a midfield three. No doubt about that. I don't think he can fit in a midfield two either, also because of his lack of pace. And he can't. Allegri, like as we said, Allegri can't develop players. Look what he's done to all these other players you mentioned before, John, like Vlahovic. Players regress under Allegri. I think now that if Allegri is going to stay, then he needs to leave Juventus because his career is
on the line. Yeah.
You don't. Yeah, his career is on the line. And also, you said about his confidence being shot, Nima. Well, what do you expect? I mean, what do you expect his confidence to be like when Allegri actually comes out publicly and says that he's not even a first-choice player? He considered him as a first reserve. He said, my image of Juventus was to have Paredes, Pogba, and Rabiot? Rabiot is the other, is the third. And then he actually said it. He actually said Locatelli as my first alternative. So he sees him as his fourth choice central midfielder. I mean, I find that absolutely shocking. Arsenal were in for him. We can say that really, just like with Vlahovic, he made the mistake joining Juventus because we've seen what's happened to his career. And there's reports. I don't know how much truth there is into them. There's reports that Arsenal could come back in for him in 2023. Arsenal need a central midfielder. And the kind of football that they play with young players, playing football, progressive football, playing it the proper way. If I'm a Locatelli, I'm considering making that move to Arsenal. And finally, the other thing I wanted to say was this was the reason why in the summer, when Juventus were being linked with, they were interested. They actually were interested in him, Raspadori, and he went to Napoli. This is why I said at the time, I'm happy, even though obviously Juventus, I want Juventus to do well. I wanted Raspadori to join Napoli because I'm an Italy national team fan and I want Raspadori to develop as a player. And I know that Raspadori, if he'd have gone to Juventus now, we'd be talking about Raspadori now as we are talking right now about Locatelli.
Oof.
Because that's what Allegri would have done to him. So I'm glad that Raspadori went to Napoli and is developing into a much better player.
Listen to the full show and all other episodes by going to patreon.com/TIFP and become a member for only $2.99 per month.